Their hate is alive in the world still. A white supremacist walked into the U.S. Holocaust Museum yesterday and opened fire, killing a security guard who authorities say died heroically in the line of duty. I mean...
89-year-old shooter.
88. And a hate monger with the hate mongers websites, and people are asking all kinds of questions. Why didn't the police know? Why can't we stop this kind of thing? I mean, hate of blacks and Jews and Asians, and I mean, this is America. When do we? Because they say it's gone down.
It's hard to encompass that much evil and try to figure out who, how we're going to stop. Like they said, you don't know who's going to walk up with a gun. This guy was in Mensa. Can you believe it?
Well, he says he was.
But they said they had to pay his dues. Well, they said
they're tracing emails now back, and they're seeing some of them come out, and they said they were just increasingly more full of hate and disgusting.
Look, we have the First and Second Amendments. You can speak and you can shoot in this country, and that's the way it goes.
I keep saying, but I think what this pointed out, because we talk a lot about discrimination against blacks, and it's one of the major subjects. But we have not talked that much about the fact that anti-Semitism, and this man was an anti-Semite, which is why he went, which is why he went to the Holocaust Museum, and that anti-Semitism is still very much alive in this country. We talk about Iran, and we talk about what's going on with some of the Arab countries and so forth, and wanting Israel wiped out. But we do not point out that anti-Semitism is still very much alive. There are still country clubs that restrict Jews. But I'm talking about this country, because we pride ourselves. We are a different country, we say. There are still residences that prohibit Jews. There are still country clubs that, and we do not say that anti-Semitism is sadly and unfortunately still very much alive.
I think because this panel sort of represents something you don't see on television, and the discussions that we have been very different. I don't know how much of this happened before Sherry and I joined y'all, how often things came up, but the fact that the world is changing and people are really, some of them are very, very angry. And they're the people that we don't think about until something like this happens. Right. But they are out there. They are out there with their...
They've been angry for a long time. Like, this guy was angry for a long time.
And their ignorance.
Yes. You know, they say he's the lone gunman. He's acted alone and everything. But do you think that Cheney should have him waterboarded to see if there's anybody behind this?
Here's what I think should happen on a more serious note, because I can't even address that. Here's what I do. I want to know if they're tracking these emails. The problem now you have with the internet is before, in many cases, we see this in teen abuse, etc., bullying. You don't have to have a face. Who are those emails going to? Who are the people on those websites?
Yeah, the Southern
these communities that exist.
Poverty leadership down south. They have been around a long time, and they do track these kind of folks, because they're all, but this is the scary thing. This man was in jail for several years because he went into the Federal Reserve and with a shotgun. And said he was going to arrest, I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name. They got him, he went to jail. When he got out, he wrote this hideous diatribe all on the internet where, free speech still exists in this country, and can you say, yes, you can say this, but not this. You can think this or not this. I mean, so it's either we have to come to terms with this.
My question would be: why was he allowed to get a gun? He's a convicted felon, and he has a gun.
We don't know whether he got this gun before he had it.
We had last week or the week before the terrible killing of the doctor who conducted
the abortion center.
And the violence and the hatred that's in people for their cause. This is what we talk about. That's so terrifying.
You try to stay one step of these people, but when you hate and you have that much hate, you find a way to do stuff. Why can't? How was he able to get it done?
What about the Army Recruitment Center? They had an official there gunned down by someone who felt that Muslims were being innocently killed, and that our armed servicemen were innocently killing innocent people, and that person was gunned down by also an extreme believer. And
by the way, you pointed out in the dressing room that the officer who was killed was black. Yes, was black.
I mean, it's, hate is hate. And it doesn't matter who it's coming from. Reverend Wright is back in the news. He told the Virginia Daily Press the reason President Obama hasn't contacted him lately is because quote, "Them Jews aren't going to let me talk to him."
Yeah, and then he said when he's no longer in office, maybe then Obama will. In other words, he's just doing this now because of the
he's
Jews.
talking about Rahm Emanuel and Axelrod, who happen to be Jewish guys. If he wasn't an anti-Semite, he would have said his henchmen or his bodyguards. But because he says Jew, that makes him an anti-Semite. In case you're listening, Reverend Wright, we're on to you.
Well, why don't we? Yeah. Now, I circle back. I mean, this guy hasn't. It's not like he's shifted what he's been preaching for the past 20 years.
No one liked him on this panel.
No, we never defended. What we tried to make folks understand was why this man, who is a reverend and a man who everyone should have been very respectful of, had some of the views he had. We never talked about his anti-Semitism. We never talked about his anti-anything, but the ravings of him being against white people is what we were talking about in America. And the idea that this man could reduce the president of the United States to that is shocking to me. This is a guy who says he's his friend. This is not a friend.
It's not shocking.
No, I know it's not shocking to you, but that's okay. But here's what is also... Yes, go ahead, because I have to do something.
No, go ahead.
I
was just going to say, Reverend Wright reminds me, everybody's got that old uncle that says crazy stuff, and you want to put him in the back of the room.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
Sharon. See, they don't have... I'm sorry.
You're not going to get it. You get what I'm saying.
Everybody's got to work.
Oh, good God. Father's Day is coming next week. And a great way to celebrate Papa's Day is with a cookout with Omaha steaks. And everyone in the audience is getting a $100 gift card. We're going, and when we come back, we're coming back with more Hot Topics. We were talking about Thomas Beatty, known as the pregnant man, giving birth to a baby boy. And Barbara, you were contacted after the show.
Yeah, what we were saying in this show was that because he is legally declared a man, had a baby, his second baby, and what you were saying, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, was that no matter what, because he still had his reproductive organs, he was therefore a woman.
Right. And had the baby.
No, had the baby.
And had the baby. Had the baby. And the transgender, members of the transgender community got to me and said, we did not say that this man is transgender, and that it has, and we didn't, and that it has nothing to do with keeping your reproductive organs. I've done interviews and done programs on children as young as 4 years old who were born male and felt to their soul, these little children, that they were female, are in school as females even though they have a penis, and on the other side as well. So the fact that he is transgender and has his reproductive organs does not per se make him a woman.
That special was incredibly moving, Barbara. I've watched it over again. I think that the kids that you talk to and the adults that you talk to there were...
And adults need understanding.
And adults, too. And I agree. And I believe that when you watch that, you understand. Where I find this situation of the pregnant man, woman, different. Because if he so felt as though he was a man and was taking hormones to become a man, then to all of a sudden say, I am a man, but I want to have a baby. I have yet to meet a man who wants to carry a child to term.
You know what, Elizabeth? It's like having a...
No, it's not.
By the way, he is not the first. He is not the first. He's the first transgender who went public. Right. He's not the first to have a child.
No, and that's why the discussion. Sorry, that's why the discussion is happening, because it's now. This is the first time we've talked that people know about that. So I think that's what's happening. Say it fast.
Okay. Well, no, we have to go to this. Speaking of going both ways, the Orlando Magic and LA Lakers meet in Game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight at 9 p.m. here on ABC. And guess what? Everybody in our audience is getting either a Magic or Lakers Disney T-shirt, whichever you want. You can choose, but you can't have both. You gotta choose, not both.
I thought they were going to get a ticket.
When we come back, we're We're coming back with Joe Scarborough. Come on back with us.